Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our third live stream training. Welcome to those of you here in the Zoom room and to those of you here with us on YouTube. So great to be with you all today in this last of my Masterclass series this week. My name is Margaret Lynch-Neri, and I'm so excited to bring you this training today because as you can see, hopefully you can see my slide there, I'm going to start out by talking about the number one goal you should start out with as a coach. And this one is no joke. I'm also going to talk about a little bit. We talked about this in the last live stream, but we've had more questions about it. How to use the brain body motivation model that we're talking about in Motivation Coach, how to use that in your niche, whether it's weight loss or fitness or marketing or business or whatever your niche is, or executive coaching. But I'm also going to get deeper into the work today. So if you're here today, I'm assuming you're even more serious about this work. And so I'm going to reveal more. I'm going to go into the 4-step process that we follow in sessions. Remember, I told you everything I do has a framework, from the motivation breakthrough map framework, the handout that you got way at the beginning of the week a million years ago, and the framework of how we proceed inside the session and over sessions as well, so that you always know what to do, you always know what to say, you always know what to do next and where you're going. And I'm also going to talk about this 3 essential criteria to help you determine what is the issue that you should focus on with your client. So we have a lot to talk about today. I'm going to go more into the actual work. And so great to have you here. So great to see you. If you're on YouTube, you can keep streaming me there. Or if you want, there's a link. You can join us here in the Zoom room. Come on in, the water is fine. We have a lot to talk about today. We have some wonderful, amazing people here in the Zoom room. And I thought it might be nice to have a little bit, to be a little bit closer to everybody today so that you could really ask your questions, especially because we are quickly closing the enrollment for our first ever Motivation Coach training, which is all going to be taught live. So welcome, welcome. We've got people from all over the world in the United States here in the Zoom room, and I'm sure the same there on YouTube. But I'm going to jump in and get started. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, hopefully you see that today we are just starting right now. I'm going to talk about the number one goal that you should always start with as a coach. I'm going to talk about the brain body motivation model in your niche. And, I'm going to let this one be driven by your questions on the chat. How do I use it if I'm a weight loss coach? How do I use it if I'm a law of attraction coach? How do I use it if I'm a executive coach? I'm also going to talk about this checklist and this 4-step process. And that's what I mean, getting more deep into how does the work proceed? How are these sessions created and scripted? And, it's all there for you. I write everything down. You follow it step by step. But today I really want you to understand from that higher level, what are the steps that we are following? What are we actually doing in every single session? And as you may know already, in Motivation Coach, there are 6 big mega sessions. They're like big pillars of the work. Each one isn't really one session. It's probably multiple sessions, but it's a way of guiding the work. And so I want to talk about the way that we do that and the 3 essential criteria to help you determine the one issue you should focus on. So hello and welcome again. I am Margaret Lynch-Neri. I'm the best-selling author of the books Tapping into Wealth and Unblocked. And I love helping new coaches, experienced coaches, therapists who want to get into coaching, and people from all walks of life, healers, practitioners, doctors, attorneys, massage therapists, hairdressers. It doesn't matter what background. I love teaching people how to do incredible work with their clients by first attracting perfect clients and then getting real results for them, wowing their clients so that you can make a really great living doing what you love. And so in this training today, I want to show you my proven step-by-step plan to build a solid practice by helping people, by doing the work that you love, so that you don't have to struggle to get clients or wonder how does that even work if you're just getting started, and you can make a real living doing it. Now, in the last trainings this week, I showed you how the motivation breakthrough map works, how to really understand how motivation works. And we talked a lot about solving the problem of motivation in a way that is cutting edge, that is neuroscience informed, that is going beyond mindset, and how really now is the time. People are looking for this, searching for this, open for things that are more real, more grounded, more brain body, because we're more aware, especially after the pandemic, more aware than ever that there is a brain body connection, and that anxiety and worry and overwhelm and fear really are the things that start to show up in our lives and help us to get stuck, feel unsatisfied, honestly feel lonely, and feel disappointed in our life. And so this is an offer for the times of right now. This is an offer to be current, to be cutting edge, to sound interesting, fascinating, cutting edge, and amazing as a motivation coach. And it all started Monday with this motivation breakthrough map, really knowing what's going on under people. But I also showed you how to free yourself from the helping first and hoping it works model. I talked to you about this model instead, this brain body reset model, which is what thriving coaches use, successful coaches and practitioners use, that I actually use. And I hope you can see this as just an amazing opportunity to do something different that is fulfilling. Um, do the work that you were meant to do, because I know I was meant to do this work, and I needed a way to get into doing it. So I didn't go back to corporate. I wanted to make a big difference. I wanted to transform people. And for me, this is the way to do it. And it's been awesome to see, how many hundreds of comments we've gotten and emails we've gotten to support with questions, sharing your struggles. I've asked you questions even in last week about what are you struggling with and the visions for how you want to live your life purpose. So it's been really amazing, and I feel really grateful for all of you that have been even involved in this week. It seemed like 2 weeks around this journey of coming together and figuring out how do we live our life purposes and get paid for it. And that's just been awesome. I've enjoyed all of you as much, and I hope you've enjoyed this training. And right up until yesterday, I showed you how to easily introduce yourself in a way that will captivate people from the start, and not just any people, the right kind of people, so that they come up to you and ask you, wow, I want to know more about what you're doing. It felt like you were talking to me. And of course, I didn't just talk about it. These are all handouts that you can download, that you can get. And so you don't have to worry about talking about what you do and then having skeptics coming up to debate you, because that happened to me a lot. Talking about your modality, which can sometimes erode your confidence. But I also shared with you on Wednesday a powerful exercise to use with people who do approach you and say, tell me more about what you do. I think you were talking to me. And in 3 minutes, bring them this aha moment, right? Which will really let them see, wow, this is something different, so that you don't have to waste your energy trying to convince people or sell people, because we don't want to sell. I mean, maybe some of you do, but we're not here to be marketers, right? We're here to help. And so instead of selling, we compel. We're captivating and compelling for people. I promise you that's way more fun. Sometimes I refer to that as just kind of sounding cool, and people are like, wow, that sounds really fascinating. So I also showed you through these trainings, what does it look like in the offer? Because I have shown, and I'll show it again today, the offer for motivation coach training, these 6 big mega sessions that you learn how to do for the perfect 3-month offer. So I thought, why don't I give you the perfect 3-month offer? So that's another download. It's called the Reach Your Goals Faster package. And you notice nothing on that talks about tapping or any other modality, or the hypnosis, the hypnotherapy, the visualization that's actually built into the sessions. Doesn't go into detail. It talks about the brain body reset, resetting motivation, shifting out of procrastination over and over and over, because that's what people want to buy. And so I'm even giving you that because I know that there is just an easier, better way to start out as a coach and do this. And there's an easier, better way if you already are a coach and you find that when your clients get stuck, you get stuck, to add these tools into your toolkit and help you talk about not only something like weight loss or business, but also I understand what happens when people get stuck, because most people who have any goal, regardless, are going to resonate with, yeah, sometimes I get stuck. And if I want to get to my goal and get there faster, this is the person that can help me do that. So we end up with clients who are the most interested and motivated to get out of their own way, which is what I love. So today I'm going to show you how to do it, how to take people who are already now kind of stepped up, interested in working with you, and how to guide them to actually commit all the way throughout the sessions and the process to being ongoing paid clients. And that's really how we make that consistent income. When you have a 3-month package, that's often work that people find, wow, this is so much bigger. We are just getting started. And so to have a perfect 3-month package gives you the opportunity to have clients sign up again, and then you don't have to go find another new client. And so this is the pathway to that consistent income. Because I'm going to share with you, as I said in the beginning, the number one goal you should always start with as a coach, and it comes together with that goal. So I want you to know that you can do this. I've been training coaches, people who aren't coaches yet, since 2013, every walk of life, how to be confident, thriving, and get real measurable results and more freedom for themselves at the same time, both personally and professionally. And the best part for me too is that not only do you get to have the fulfillment and build a stable practice with consistent income, but at the same time, your schedule is more streamlined, is more predictable, is easier to manage, because when clients are more committed, they, as I said, want to keep working with you and keep getting amazing results. So of course, things don't just like magically manifest because you dream about it, just because you want it. You have to make it happen. And to do that, you need an action plan. And that's what I want to show you today. Because when you have a real plan, that's when our dreams become a real goal and goals become achievable. Because that's how we want to ensure this action plan about the 4 steps, how to know what to do next and keep people committed to the process while you feel confident. Otherwise, we end up in that help and hope model. We end up helping and even hoping, oh, I hope they're going to sign up for new sessions, which is what I did. I didn't even know there was a thing called a coaching package. I would do a session with somebody and then basically be like, okay, bye. I wonder if they're ever going to sign up again. And so I never had that consistency until I figured this out. And it's how I want you to get started. So let's talk about, if you want to build this stable practice, let's talk about one key goal to be focused on. The number one goal that you should always start with at the beginning. And the goal for me, and it's not going to be what you think, because if I asked you what you think the number one goal is, you're probably going to say something like helping people. And this is a higher level goal. It's a goal for you personally. Because I know so many of you have had professional backgrounds. You have experience, you have depth, you have skill and knowledge from a previous career. You haven't been sitting around all your life just waiting to get on this call. And sometimes when we step into our passion career, we kind of forget a little bit about that because we might be new at something. And we see it as a passion career. So I want to refocus you that the number one intention that I want you to set, that I want you to have for yourself as you come into this work is, I want to be successful. I want to be success at this. I want people to be like, wow, you're awesome. You've really helped me and I'm making money. Can I get a hell yeah for that on the chat? Can I get a hell yeah for that in the chat? I want to be successful at this. I want to be successful. Thank you. All right. So Mary gets the first one. Yes, I want to be successful. And so again, we want to break away from this sort of, I just want to help people model, because I've just been hearing that for so many years. And it's almost like we think, maybe I can't really be a success at this, so I'm just going to try to help people. So I want you to set that, right? I want to be a success at this. And that means I need to do it like a professional. I need to sound like a professional. That means I need to know what I'm talking about. And I need to speak in ways that are not woo-woo, that don't sound narrow, that sound like things that are compelling, that everyday people are struggling with and are painful with. So we'll get more into that. Okay, and so the next thing that I want you to think about the whole time that you are thinking about helping people and being in a session with them, this is maybe the second goal that you should always have in mind, is that keeping your clients engaged at all times, keeping them engaged in the coaching with you, like from the beginning when they sign up is kind of just the beginning. And in order to do that, the second goal that we have in the work is to keep aha moments going, is to make sure that every session, every exercise, every aha moment is clear. They are seeing it, they are feeling it, they are integrating it, they are processing it. And that's another way that I framework these sessions. You stop and check in. They're called moments of consciousness all through the session. And so when we do that, we are letting them also realize that success is happening in these sessions. They're connecting things, they're shifting, they feel different at the beginning than they did at the end. And I'm going to talk about those 4-step process that make sure they feel different at the end than they did at the beginning. Because if we want to have them get real, measurable, life-changing results, they first have to be committed. They have to believe in the work and they have to work with you, not just once or twice. A 3-month package is a great starter package. A 3-month commitment is a great way to get started with a client. And I know for some of you that might seem like a lot, right? But it really is, this is like basic minimum wage stuff for a coach, is I start with a 3-month package. It's the perfect package. And by the way, it's better for them, because people aren't one note. They don't just get all fixed in one session, right? And it's better for you because I know you want to get them where they want to be. And you want them to get the results because that gives you testimonials and referrals and a stable business. And it's really the way to make a difference in the world. So let's talk about, we want to set that first goal is I want to be successful at this. And the second goal is these aha moments are key. I didn't know anything about that when I started. I just learned these techniques and I did them. And at the end of the session, the people were like, oh my God, that was a lot. Bye. I didn't know how to stop and make moments of consciousness. Aha moments is time to integrate and connect the dots. You saw some of that in the Captivate from the Start exercise. That's another piece that was different about that exercise I have you do. And if you haven't seen that training from Wednesday, I highly recommend you go back and you see that. Thank you, Bethany. I highly recommend you go back and watch that training and do that practice, because built in there are aha moments when you say to someone, what? Oh, thank you, Bethany. What is the rule that you weren't supposed to break that you broke? People have to think about that. And then when you say, what has it cost you? What has it cost you? That is an aha moment. And they go, wow, it's cost me. It's cost me everything. How much will it keep costing you? And so even in that script that I gave you, is those aha moments are built in. So that's the big piece number 2. But I want to talk to you now about these 4 steps, right? This 4-step process. And I don't usually share this. And this is, something that took me a lot of time to figure out. I started out with 1 step, and then I added a step, and then I worked with lots and lots more people, and I added more steps because I wanted to make sure people got all the way to their goal. I got good at helping people a little bit, And then honestly, I wanted more. I wanted more success and I wanted to help people more. Great question, Lori K. So we'll come to that. Post that again at the end as I start getting into more of your questions. Okay, so let's talk about this 4 steps, right? This is a process I've taught to hundreds of coaches over the years to create their practice and to like use as a framework for doing sessions. Because again, often we've learned here's the technique and the technique will make your coaching, and that makes me a little bit crazy. And so my favorite technique is tapping, but tapping does not make a coach. Tapping does not even make a full session, right? And so this is part of my mission of sort of busting that modality myth. Okay, so let's get to our 4 sections. And I love modalities. I love techniques. I don't want you to think I'm trashing them, but it doesn't make a whole practice. So this motivation coach practice, this brain coach process, this brain body reset process is, really something that also kind of follows human nature. So I want you to listen and see if it sounds like kind of intuitively makes sense to you as well. And so there's 4 steps, right? And so the first step is uncover and diagnose. That's how we set every session. Now, of course, as we're uncovering and diagnosing, we're also teaching, we're also explaining things. We're kind of the explainer in chief in our sessions on why this is important. We also are teaching and explaining to connect those aha moments. But the first thing we're really doing is uncovering and diagnosing. That is, again, why I gave you a script that is about uncovering and diagnosing, the gift of clarity. That is built into every one of these 6 big mega sessions. And it's the piece that gets those aha moments really quickly and lets you feel like, wow, there's so much to work with here. And you don't have to guess because you have them close their eyes. You do a visualization. You do all different types of assessment. There's ones in every one of these sessions. And they tell you what's going on, right? They tell you. And the next step after that, now we have all of this information. And so we've led them into this sort of diagnostic assessment. We've uncovered things. I call it like opening a doorway and getting all the information. And the second step is to clear those hidden blocks, to clear those roots, to clear all that grief and that sadness and that what if I fail and people won't like it. All of the fear that is sitting in their brain body system. Even their mindset, their negative mindset, is usually not based in reality. It's a piece of the fight or flight running in their anxious brain, right? And so uncover and diagnose, and then we know what to clear. We clear those hidden blocks. And that's where the biohacking comes in, because we can't just say to someone, I see in your visualization, people are saying, who do you think you are? Or they're snickering at you. Just stop thinking that. How well is that going to work? Tell me on the chat. And has someone ever done that to you and did you like it? Tell me on the chat. And so, yeah, this is where we bring in the biohacking technique, a simple way of doing tapping. And honestly, people have made tapping really, really complicated. And over the last 30 years, what people have found is that even if you tap just one set of acupuncture points like this one, and that's all you ever did, it still works. Even if all you ever tapped was this set of acupuncture points, it would work because it turns down the fight or flight from the stimulation of the acupuncture points. Now, most people will use the ones that you can see on camera, but it's actually very simple. And what's scripted in each session are the words to say, following the understanding of the motivation breakthrough map, which is that people are a little bit squirrely when it comes to voicing and moving those strong emotions. So you have to be a little trickier. That's all built in. We're going to be talking about in the live trainings starting next week on this for all of our enrollees. But clearing the hidden blocks is the biggest piece. Now, honestly, I learned tapping and I learned hypnotherapy and I learned about law of attraction, 18 years ago. So all I knew how to do was clear hidden blocks. And I thought that was all I was going to need to do. I didn't know how to motivate anybody or give anybody any help. And I didn't even really know how to uncover and diagnose. I just had that one technique. And of course, it led to me having a lot of one-off sessions. But when I started to get to uncover and diagnose and then bring in the clearing of the hidden blocks, well, I started to get big change. But it wasn't enough to get people into changing the way they showed up and acted in the real world. Right. And so if you've seen me walk through the modules of Motivation Coach, you see over and over, and it's the same in the done for you offer I gave you, that you are explaining to your potential clients that when we start making progress, all of these other new blocks come up. And so the uncover and the diagnose and the clear the hidden blocks, those two stages kind of go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's a good chunk of the session. It's like, now what's going on there? And then we use the tapping, and that same visualization you did in the gift of clarity, it'll change. People will say, oh, it looks different now. Everyone looks happier or kinder. And those negative people, I don't see them anymore. And I feel more confident. And so you go back and forth until the fear, what the mind is painting the picture of what the brain body thinks is going to happen changes. It's actually miraculous. And next, we're not done yet, because step 3 is now to unleash more power. It's to bring more power up into the system. It's not just to clear blocks away and say, well, I feel calmer, I feel less stressed. We can do more than that, because this isn't less stress coach. You're not going to be a professional de-stress coach. You're a motivation coach. And so these 2 steps are just the beginning. The next step, and that's what makes my work very different from a lot of people out there who do tapping, by the way, is this piece of it. Is this, how do we actually use the same technique in other types of process, other types of visualizations and affirmations in a particular way to have someone feel more charged up, more motivated, more like, you know what, I can do it. Or, you know what, this is my time. Or, you know what, I feel fearless right now. We can actually do that work as well. And this is a big difference, between this kind of work and therapy, because you're creating this positive future, right? And so step number 3 is we're going for more power, more passion, more courage, more charge, so that we leave the session exactly as I promised, from session after session after session, all 6 of these. However you start, stuck, uncertain, unclear, making a little progress or freezing or holding back, but holding back from big steps, no matter what session it is, you end powerfully. You end with this, oh my gosh, I can do it and I want it. And if you've tapped with me before in any of our communities or any of my YouTube videos, you've probably seen me do that. Okay, but what is step number 4? And so step number 4 is inspire and support. Step number 4 is the way we end every session, honoring and celebrating a client for the work that they're doing and inspiring them with more of what is possible. Even in that script I gave you for Gift of Clarity, at the very end, we said, what is possible? Can you imagine if you doubled your confidence? What would be possible for you? And people think about that. It's like, wow, I never thought about that before. Maybe I could do more. And so there's passion and charge and fire, and I'm going to go for it. And then there's also inspiration and support. Support means, and I'm going to be here with you every step of the way. I'm going to be here with you, helping you when life gets in the way, when you get off track, just like we say in this offer that I gave you. this offer that you can use today, right? Number 3 was my support, my accountability, the mentorship. I'm going to be here with you. Literally, it says every step of the way through obstacles and setbacks and real world adjustments, all the way to the finish line. And so that is step number 4. And so with these 4 sessions as a framework, right? We start by uncovering an issue, diagnosing the hidden blocks, and then we go back and forth doing that until we've cleared the blocks, right? It's like peeling the onion. And then we come back and we bring this process of charging people up. And I'm telling you, when you do that part of the session, people want to come back. They are committed to the process. They will leave your session like, I feel amazing. And they're ready to charge up and they're ready to go. And again, those of you who have tapped with me in different communities and videos, you know this is how I work, right? And so this is what helps people stay committed to the process, that this isn't just, my favorite comment is, wow, this is so much bigger than me procrastinating on that video, isn't it? And you always are going to say yes, because you're stepping in, you're guiding clients, yes, to meet their goals. And yes, heck yeah, they are going to get there faster because they're not going to be frozen and stuck and alone with all of this stuff. So they have the opportunity to get there faster with you, but they are also transforming into the better version of themselves, the more passionate, the more grounded, the more confident, the more open, inspired version of themselves. This positive way of being. And the accountability with you is keeping them in this, for many people, a brand new idea, which is, we celebrate. We celebrate progress. I'm doing okay. I'm doing well. I come here and I feel like, oh, maybe I'm slowing down and now I feel charged up again. Like, this is how everybody wins, right? I love that. And so going through those 4 steps is so, so important. So comments, questions on that on the chat. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Questions of that on the chat. So put those there and we will, we'll get to you there. Bethany's helping me with the chat today, and same thing on YouTube. Put comments there. We will go find them. But I want to also review right now the criteria. The criteria, I talked about this checklist, right? The 3 criteria that should guide your decision, because one of the, I've said on Monday's training, one of the very first important decisions we make if we're going into coaching and we want to do it expertly and professionally and be successful at it, this is a very strategic decision, which is, what problem am I going to solve? Not what modality am I going to use? What problem am I going to solve? And so again, this is so that you can get clients easily anywhere. And, I take a lot of issue. I take a lot of issue over the years with people who teach niche. You got to find a niche. You got to figure out your niche. I had no niche, and I had 20, 25 clients a week because my niche was anybody who was trying to achieve a goal. A success-focused, goal-oriented person. I found them all over the place. And it didn't matter if they were trying to run the marathon or lose weight or do a video or double their business. They had a goal. I knew how to help them getting unstuck. And so if you are a fan of human nature and you love the idea of personal performance and helping success-focused people, then become a motivation coach, because you have clients everywhere. So let's talk about this checklist, right? That first criteria is this a widespread issue? Is this a widespread issue? Because if it's not widespread, it's really hard to find clients. And procrastinating and getting stuck when we have goals is a pretty common issue. And by the way, you also want to ask a question about, is this a common and widespread issue with people who are at least in the middle class? And I know that sounds hard, because we also want to make sure we have clients who can pay us. And don't worry, when you have consistent paying clients, you can always do volunteer work. You can always give back to communities who can't afford you. You can clear away your own blocks of making video, having all sorts of free content for people who can't work with you one-on-one, or doing groups, volunteering that way. But you want to think about who can pay me, and are these not only a common problem, but a common problem of people who are at least in the middle class, who have a way to pay you. Just being really honest, because goal, like what did I say your first goal is? I want to be successful. And that means you have to already also get paid. This work, you can help so many people. It is so powerful. And you can't do it if you can't get paid, right? You can't do it if you can't get paid. So second criteria, right, is really covered in that gift of clarity exercise. The first question was, is this painful? Is this a painful issue for my potential client? Because if it's not painful enough, they won't be motivated to fix it. That's why I said this isn't less stress coaching. Right? Maybe people would pay $100 and come once to be less stressed. But it has to be a painful enough issue that people are motivated to pay to fix it, right? Often very overlooked because we're so excited about the techniques that we're learning, right? Okay, the next one, is it urgent? Is it urgent? And so let me put another, like a stronger point on this. Can they wait to fix the problem? Is waiting another year not a problem at all? Because for the clients that I had, when I asked them, what happens if you go another year procrastinating? They would go, oh my God. You heard Mary Jazz say yesterday with the clients that she was helping, I could lose my job if I keep procrastinating, right? So I don't have a minute to spare. It felt urgent. What will happen if you keep undercharging and you're too afraid to raise your prices? Oh my gosh, like I'm not going to have a business. And, my family's pressuring me. I have debt from investing. This is an urgent issue for me. What happens if you don't lose weight for another year, or if you're not successful in this process of getting healthy? It's like there can be dire consequences. So is this a problem they urgently need to solve? Because if they can afford to fix it, or they're not really thinking about the consequences, that's exactly what they're likely to do. And so for clients who when you say, is this costing you? That's why that question was in there. And they go, yes. Is this going to keep costing you? Yes. Right? And then when they say that, you'd say, well, okay, I want to know more. Like, what is it costing you? Because we need to know if they're motivated, and they need to know if they're motivated. It's just understanding so that they know, do I really want to fix this? Because here's an opportunity to fix it. Okay, and then that gets into what I just mentioned, another piece of this question, which is it expensive? Is it expensive in terms of money? Sometimes it's very expensive in terms of money. In terms of what else? Is it expensive in terms of cost? For some people, time is unbelievably expensive. Unbelievably expensive to have more time go by, right? How much is it costing them? If we are, as humans, if we don't know it's costing us, we will not solve problems, right? And a client who doesn't have a problem to solve is not really a client. It's called a freebie. So let's see. My last question here is the problem, and this is kind of a strategic piece of it, is the problem that they have on their surface, like that they're complaining about, is it the surface manifestation of something going on underneath? And, that's one of the reasons I created the motivation breakthrough map, because so many people weren't able to sort of see, like I want you to see right through somebody. That's why I'm going to be teaching that map in a deep dive for you in Motivation Coach, to see like there is something going on underneath. Are they complaining about a problem? where there's actually, it's the surface manifestation and there's something more going on underneath. Now, in lots of other fields of coaching, there is no underneath. It's like, if you're not getting it done, then you need a better schedule. Now, that can help. And if it helps, no worries, right? If someone just says, you need to believe in yourself, and you're like, okay, I'm done, I'm good, I'm back on track, that's great. But that's not a client who's really needs to hire a coach. And so is it a surface manifestation of something going on underneath? And that's where that word mysterious comes in. That's why I have it plastered all over the place, inside these sessions, inside the offer, inside the motivation breakthrough map. That means there's this mysterious, I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I self-sabotage. I don't know why I froze. I don't know why I get stuck. And so this procrastination, freezing, holding back, slow walking our goals, getting off track, getting lost, getting self-doubt, perfectionism, all of those pieces are why I teach my students to focus on motivation. That's why I created this program, because it's the perfect offer. It's the perfect problem to solve. So when you think about procrastination, right? When people are procrastinating, look at how well that fits the criteria, right? When you look at procrastination or lack of motivation, it's a huge universal source of pain, worry, frustration, mysterious, like, where does this come from? Anxiety for people who are trying to achieve something. And if your money, imagine your income is affected by your procrastination or your freezing or your playing small or your self-doubt. If we are in the workplace and we exude self-doubt, we're not going to get a raise, right? And the person next to us who acts more confident, even if they don't know as much, we've seen it happen, haven't we? Will make more money because they appear more confident. And so imagine if your money is tied to this behavior or the dream that you've been carrying for so long. And I know you relate, because I hear from coaches all the time, or people who want to be coaches, when they freeze and they procrastinate, and it breaks our heart. So if you've ever felt dispirited or disappointed by your own being stuck and frozen and procrastinating, boy, is this the program for you. Because not only are you going to learn how to do this work with other clients, but this is exactly the healing that you're going to get in this work. Yeah. And of course, we know, and that's why I created the motivation breakthrough map, that procrastination is just the surface issue, right? And so when we do this, when we solve these kinds of problems, we talk about procrastination and the costs, we get clients, and then we get those clients into some pretty deep transformational empowerment work, right? Pretty deep transformational empowerment work. Now, this is not therapy. Someone on the chat said, like, what about complex trauma? No, this is not complex trauma. I am not a therapist. This is not a complex trauma program. This is for success-focused clients working on issues of procrastination and motivation. So I just want to be very, very clear about that. This is for coaches who want to work on motivation. The gift of clarity is there for you as sort of a mini guide of all of the different pieces that are in here around seeing what's underneath, understanding the cost, slowing down so that someone has aha moments, and diagnosing first before we even take a step. And we can even use that as a way to give a result in advance. So that's my 4 steps, and those are the criteria that I talked about today. And as we go through the motivation breakthrough map, we see all of the layers inside of someone, and that also is part of like this whole process of understanding and diagnosing, revealing those layers. And it's also gives us that framework of how we're going to use tapping. So this is a very different approach than learning a technique, talking about a modality, giving freebies and giving sessions, right? Instead, we're going to systematically follow a framework and have exactly the expertise we need I talk about neuroscience informed. And the great thing is that you don't have to be a neuroscientist. I'm not, I'm an engineer by trade, but you can learn just enough and how it relates to motivation. And by the way, as I mentioned, inside the manual, which is ready to go. I just got it back from the designer. I don't have it printed yet. I think it's like 160 some odd pages. One of the chapters is just a deep dive on how the stress response affects personal performance and how it works in our body. But the expertise, those first 5 chapters are really about you becoming an expert to speak professionally about things that everyday people do not know about. And that is the brain body effect and how it affects motivation, the things that depress motivation versus how we can shift our whole system into feeling more charged, more on fire. And there is a chemical, a neurochemical piece that goes with that. And of course, that's a deep dive training that I'm going to be doing for you either next week or the week after. I don't remember which, I think that one's next week. And by the way, make sure you put on your calendar that Tuesday, this coming Tuesday at 2 p.m. is the welcome call for all of my new motivation coaches. We're going to welcome you into the program, 2 p.m. Eastern time. You'll get that in your email. The manual we'll send you an email probably tomorrow, this weekend, so you can download the manual and make sure you put all of your dates on the calendar. And I know we're putting that on there as well. And I can show those dates as well. Yes, so I don't have a handout for the 4 steps. I don't usually go into that level of detail teaching it. I do see that somebody put it on the chat. Thank you, Terry Jenkins. I don't have a handout for that at this time. I think we've got 6 or 7 handouts. If you count the motivation breakthrough map, we've got, I think, 7 handouts through this whole week, and I just couldn't throw a whole nother handout at you. Yes, a client that doesn't have a problem to solve is not really a client. Awesome takeaway. Yeah, great, great, great. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Helen said, I'm interested in this. However, what does happen if trauma comes up while working with people on a problem, like a hidden trauma? I'm so keen to motivate. I'm aware that there are times when trauma could be there. Okay, so, and I assume that you're not a therapist, right? And so this is, like I said, this isn't for complex trauma. This is not for you to say, hey, do you have trauma? I'm the coach for you. And so one of the things that I want you to recognize is that, and I did this as a coach for years, right? I'm networking, I'm going to the places where people are goal focused. And I realized that if I go to business networking meetings in my local town, everybody there had money on the line. If they were procrastinating, they weren't building their business. So it was kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. And so when I talked about goals, and goal setting and goal achievement and confidence and procrastination, which is exactly what you will be talking about, you are going to attract success-focused people. Now, I have found over these 18 years, when we talk and we have a 3-month package and we interview someone and we get their commitment and they're all in, like, this is what I want, this is my goal, this is where I'm struggling, you don't end up with a client without a clarity conversation to really understand where they are, what they are struggling with. And so that's really important to know. It also, in the manual, I give you what I spent about $6,000 with an attorney to create so that you can take it to an attorney in your state. But it's an intake form where they sign over and over to confirm that they know that you're not a therapist, that this is not therapy, that you are not going to be working on those things with them. And so it's very, very clear as you start the coaching experience that you've talked to someone, you understand the success that they want, where they're struggling. That's how you know you can help them, because you've heard them tell you what's going on. And so that's the container that we start. It is that in that kind of container, you have people with complex trauma or bipolar disorder suddenly, bringing $1,000 to sign up with a coach for 3 months with that kind of a promise. So that takes care of 99% of your concern, right? And I'm telling you this from, my experience of 18 years and the coaches that I train. So hold on to that, okay? Now, the second session that I teach you in Motivation Coach is called a core skills foundational session, because what it is, it's a complete session in itself. Because often when people start to step out of their comfort zone, something will come to mind that they're really upset about. A frustration, a past failure, somebody who screwed them before, or they got to their goal weight before and somebody ridiculed them. It's just human nature. It's like they're doing well and all of a sudden they come into a session and they're like, I'm really upset about this and I keep thinking about it. And so that session is a core foundational session. In addition to being a session in itself, it teaches you how to deal with strong emotions. And tapping, this technique, is the premier technique for people with trauma, used by therapists. And so even with people who have war trauma and complex trauma, they're doing the same thing. They are tapping and tapping it while they tune into their really strong feelings or memories. And so the tapping is this containing, grounding technique. It does not whip people up. It lets emotions move and it calms people down, and they have a whole different perspective. And so I do give you a fully scripted session on how to process strong emotions and keep someone tapping the whole time. So here's what I have found. I have been in sessions with people where something traumatic came up for them. Like, I tried to do this big thing at work and I really failed. And it felt traumatic to them because they were humiliated. They lost their job. People were mean to them. People betrayed them. And it's sort of carrying it around as they try to go after this new goal. And so, even though that's not complex trauma, to them, it was really upsetting. And so, that's why I give you this session, so that you know how to use this technique, which makes it amazingly easy to process strong emotions. Because when we tap, the fight or flight comes down. Our strong emotions process and move. Sometimes people will get more emotional for a second because the fight or flight turns off and suddenly they can feel more of what they're trying not to feel. And so it'll come up and out and then they calm. Now, if you had a client, and it's just extremely rare, who said, I have this massive trauma and now I'm thinking about it, you could absolutely say, well, I'm a coach, so I'm not comfortable with working with you on that. Do you have a therapist you want to go work on this with and then come back, or work in tandem? It just doesn't come up that often. But of course, you should have a connection to a therapist in your area that you could refer to. If someone has that kind of trauma and they suddenly bring it up out of the blue, they've probably talked about it in therapy before. And you're just going to hold space for that conversation, right? And say, okay, well, this is out of my wheelhouse. This isn't what I do. I do goals and goal setting and goal achievement and motivation. And yes, we're moving some strong emotions here, but that's out of my wheelhouse. So, I appreciate the question. And I always love to answer it. It's just that in practice, we don't see this coming up. We don't see the types of people who have that kind of trauma raising their hand for this kind of an offer, right? If you were going to work with veterans or working in the prisons or volunteering your time in a women's shelter, absolutely, you would want to get trauma-informed tapping trained. There's lots of places that you can do that. So great question. And I certainly wouldn't want you to miss out on having these incredible tools, because, we all have our pains and hurts and devastating moments from our past. And with this work, you can help so many people who've tried to solve their problems a variety of different ways and they haven't really worked. So Sandra said, how do you charge people up? How do you celebrate progress with them? So each of the sessions has slightly different ways. So great question, Sandra. So some of well, you can use tapping, first of all, in the positive, right? And so some of the sessions you will see shift gears at the end of the session and have people reaffirm after you've discussed with them, do you really want this, for example? Why does this matter to you? Is it really that important to you? Where they can affirm, yes, this really does matter. This really is important. And there's actual tapping that we can do that charges that up. Because when you tap on the positive, when you tap on what I want, when you tap on I'm taking this action, it actually continues to bring energy up. And so instead of up and out, and we don't feel negative anymore, we feel this uprising of positive energy, and it feels good and it fills us. And so when we're using tapping, we're reversing the downward depressing energy of the inner critic of what if I fail? I failed before. It's going to be hard. I'm already off track. I should be further ahead. We're reversing that energy. We're moving the fears and painful emotions up and out. Like, what if I fail? This means everything to me, which has some grief in it. And then we're continuing to move the good feelings up. We're just taking that extra step. And the celebration is twofold. We hound clients to celebrate their progress. And so the end of every session, it's just a built-in reminder for you to honor them, to celebrate them. And I don't want you to worry about that, because at the end of every session, you're going to be so blown away by your clients. It is easy for you to say something that will celebrate them, the work they did in their session, their commitment to this process, their commitment to their goals, their caring, the steps that they've made. The words will be right there for you, because when you're sitting across from someone who is all in and pouring their heart out to you and really doing the work and being courageous, and you hear their story, it is very easy to celebrate their progress with them. And it's all scripted, it's built into the book there. But great question. Okay. Yes, Melanie, if you struggled with the concept of niching, which gets coaches stuck for years. I remember, maybe it was 2012, maybe. I was at a mastermind for another coach, and one by one, her mastermind coaches, they were all coaches, would get a hot seat in the middle of the room. We're all sitting in a circle. And one by one, she would have them in tears, because they would just burst into tears. They're like, I don't know. Like, what's the gift that you want to provide? Like, what's the gift? What's your passion? What's the transformation? Does anyone remember that question from like 15 years ago? It was the big question in the coaching world. What is the transformation you want to provide? And it just brought people to tears, because they were like, I don't know. I don't know what my niche is. And you can't start a business. So now you are stuck. Forget all of that. Get started immediately. There's so many people that you can help. And you don't have to walk around promising and giving them tapping. Thank you, Lisa Morgan. Thank you. Awesome. Yes, doing that as well. Been feeling the need to end with empowerment. I love that, Ina. Let's see. Other questions I can answer for you. Okay, Amber, great question. If someone is unable to visualize, first of all, is not that common, but we do build that in, okay? This is where my hypnotherapy training really comes into handy. And I don't tell people I'm about to hypnotize you. I just say, close your eyes and imagine. So can you change the clarifying visualization for someone that isn't able to visualize? So the way that we do this is we say, I want you to take a breath and close your eyes, because it's easier to visualize or imagine something. And then we give, if they say, I can't visualize, no problem. Just going to get an impression. And just imagine if you could get an impression, what would you guess it might be? Was there a feeling, a color, an impression? As a matter of fact, people who are very second chakra, who are very sensate and feeling, they will often say they're not visual, but they get an impression and they know. When I do these visualizations for myself, it's often not very visual, but I know, I get an impression. And so we get around that by saying, just imagine, let your imagination paint you a picture or just get an impression. And by using the hypnotic phrase, it's okay if you can't see it, but what would you guess you might see? And they always tell you, and they always tell you. Awesome, Ingrid said she just signed up. Awesome. So how much do you charge for a 3-month package? We always recommend you start around $1,000. Now, you start where you start because you're not that confident yet. And often we want people to practice on, because remember, you're going to be in this 2-day immersion. You got to practice on other coaches. And then you've got 4 or 5 weeks before our big event to be in that community. And during that time, you're going to be clearing your blocks, because the special bonus is that you get to be in a very small group with one of our amazing 4 faculty coaches who are going to be doing 4 group sessions with you, small, intimate group sessions to clear your blocks. And so you start where you start. And so when we think about charging, the charging is a kind of a combination between, like, where are you, right? Different parts of the country and different parts of the world, there's different value. And so we always want to take that into consideration, but you got to start somewhere. And you really want to get started and get testimonials, referrals, and the confidence, because the other piece of charging is your confidence. But honestly, the biggest piece of charging is, what problem are you solving? And so when I say, I want to be successful at this, I'm giving you the problem to solve that people want solved and will pay to solve. Because if it's not costing them, they're not going to sign up anyway, right? And so you start where you start and you grow from there. And like, I know that other people will be like, oh, just charge $3,000. And you and I both know, like, you can't just throw out a price. It's not right for everybody, but we have to get started. And then we raise our prices over time as we get better and better at, and more confident at putting ourselves out there, more confident at the results that we can get. And we start to get those testimonials and referrals, right? And so one of the things that I was so passionate about in those 4 steps is that I was going to networking. And so I joined what's called the BNI, Business Network International. Then I had to go every week, which was terrifying. People in the room became my clients because I finally started to say, are you feeling stuck? Are you procrastinating? Are you scared to get up there and market yourself? Because people had to get up there and present themselves. I needed those people to change for them, but also for me. And so the part about charging people up and getting them more inspired and feeling like I can do it, right? Not just by shouting in their face or walking over red coals, but actually doing the inner work so they clear their blocks to confidence and feel more confident, particularly in that confidence session there. Session number 5 is the confidence reset session. And so what happened with me was that people now, when they showed up in the room, they looked different. They looked more confident. They looked more relaxed. They were more calm. They'd get up and say, oh my God, I worked with Margaret. And people are like, what did you do? Why are you it's so easy for you to get up there and present now or whatever. They're like, I worked with Margaret. She's amazing. And so this piece of, I need people to show up and speak and actually be different in their lives, not just clear some stuff from the past. That's where the 4 resets came from, right? Is that if they showed up differently, they actually got to their goals. They could push through the moments. And by the way, other people could see it too. And that led me to referrals. And so using, having referrals in the room, people being like, you're different. What happened? I worked with Margaret. Now my prices went up. Do you see? Because now I felt confident. I felt confident and I was like, wow, I can do something amazing. And so please don't take, 5 years to figure it out like I did. Like I've put this together so that you can start day one, literally by Halloween, be a professional motivation coach. Let's see. I do not believe you can do EFT with people with epilepsy. I'm not an expert on that. I would Google that and see if there's some resources from some, other places, not me, that would tell you whether or not you can do EFT with people with epilepsy. People who have any kind of emotional dysregulation disorder, there's in the manual, there are contraindications. But I don't know much about tapping with epilepsy. Um, so that's something that you would have to research on your own. Yeah, that's something you would have to research. And maybe have them talk to their doctor, their neurologist about, tapping on acupuncture points. Yeah. Okay, so questions. Yeah.
Hi, it's Bethany. Hi, everybody. I want to bring you back to Lori Kay's question, which
Mm.
is what do you do if they can't figure out a rule? Can you give more examples of rules?
Sure. And so in general, and so one of the first like big reset modules, right? So there's the first session is like your perfect first sessions. A client's like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm already stuck, or I'm so excited, but I don't know where to start. And so the first session is like, this is your first session with the client. They're always in some state of overwhelm, and they will go back into that state all throughout your coaching. The second, and so it's kind of a foundational session you'll use over and over. The second one is that strong emotions. It's another foundational session. But then the next session, session number 3, and it's a monster, is the deserving reset. And it gets into the family paradigm. And so, we did this example, this gift of clarity. I gave you this version because I knew it was short enough that you could do it with someone quickly. But inside the modules, you're going to have a more deep process around actually having them visualize their family, their earliest family paradigm in a way that relates to their goal. And then there's a whole bunch of questions, right? Like, what kinds of things did your parents say about this? What did your parents experience? What would your parents have said? And then there's a process around similarly having the client imagine that they could show up in front of their parents, like their younger parents as an adult who's full of confidence. And so in that way, in that session, we get more dialed into the family paradigm in the rule I wasn't supposed to break with the family. And so, the gift of clarity process is, like I said, small enough that you could actually practice it. I couldn't give you a 27-page session to practice. But as you could see, a lot of people came right up with it, right? Don't be arrogant. Don't stand out. Don't be too excited because you're just going to be disappointed. And so those are some, those examples of good rules, right? That people's family have. And in some ways they can sound positive, but they have this limiting side, right? Sometimes it's like, don't brag, which sounds positive, but it means I can never shine with my gifts. I can never have this moment where it's my moment to say, I'm actually really awesome and I deserve a raise or I deserve to get paid well. And so the family rules are always things that it's like, I'm not supposed, it's usually the opposite, or something that constrains exactly what the client is doing. So if it's somebody who's like freezing and holding back, it'll be something around the very thing, though, the way that they would have to show up, like confident in themselves, was the rule. And so it's always something that's constraining us, boxing us in the current moment, and revealing it through the paradigm, which is why that session number 3, that big mega session, is like well, in my writing it, it was 27 pages long. I don't know how long it is in the manual now that it's laid out, because I give it to you for weight loss and health, for soulmate relationship, and for money in business. So there's sort of like almost like three versions of everything in that session. But that's how we get to that more specifically. But yeah, they sound like, don't stand out, don't be arrogant, never be selfish, don't put yourself above other people, don't believe because you're always going to get disappointed. Who do you think you are, which has a kind of a threat in it. So great, yeah, great question there. Awesome. Okay, let's see, was there a question I missed? Yeah, so if you have motivation super skills, then you have a really nice coupon to step into this program. And so definitely, yeah, thank you. Bethany put that on the chat. You can chat a little bit more with Beverly about that if you want to talk about what's different of the program that you have versus the new one. We can talk about that with you as well. Yeah. Questions about motivation, coach training, any more questions I can answer for you. And let's see, I'm gonna share this so that you can see the dates, because I know that we get nervous about dates here. So I'm gonna make this nice and big and share my screen here, make me a little smaller here. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Yeah, and see me a little bit. So the motivation coach training program, we are closing enrollment, right? Because our welcome call, and I know Bethany will put this on the chat for me again because I don't have it here. The welcome call is this coming Tuesday at 2 p.m. And next Thursday is the brain body reset training. And so your deep dive on the neuroscience of motivation is next Thursday, right? So our welcome call is Tuesday. So jump in if you're ready to jump in. And so the things that you are going to be expert in talking about very quickly is mindset, goal setting, goal achievement, confidence, leadership energy. That comes in with the confidence, because people are like, well, I don't know how to be confident without looking arrogant. You explain to them what leadership energy looks like, which is this beautiful, graceful, magnanimous way of being. Of course, you're an expert on procrastination and motivation as a motivation coach, and high performance action, things that you can talk about in all different communities, about taking bold action, inspired action, setting your goals and crushing your goals. And it is all new. It is all live. And so first time I'm teaching this, I've been building this. It's built on everything I've done since 2003 to train coaches, but I am teaching it live, and it does include that 2-day live immersion to practice and get certified. The manual, I think it's 162 pages, includes the fully scripted sessions. And 5 of the chapters are just how you start smart, how you are smart, confident, and expert right off the bat. Things like how to understand tapping and explain it in a way that is science-based. That's a professional. That sounds expert. That does not sound woo-woo. And chapter number 2, the brain body resets, what that means through the 4 procrastination pits. And so 4 of the sessions, right? Let's see, there's 6. So it's session 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the big resets. The resets get people through the procrastination pits, places that we will procrastinate that we don't even know we're going to procrastinate because we're not even there yet. You will know how to anticipate and understand and know what those 4 are. And if you want to stay on a little bit longer today, I will talk about what those are. Chapter number 3 is all the procrastination breakthrough map, which you have another deep dive training on, not next week, but the week after. And in this chapter, it goes through all those breakthrough codes, all these little fragments of phrases that we use to help people break through even more quickly with tapping. It's why I have these big book deals on tapping, because they're like, your tapping works better than other people's tapping. And that's because of the breakthrough codes. And then it goes into the practical basics of understanding anxiety and worry on our mindset, on our action, on our confidence. Number 4 is just a deep dive of basic information on the science of the stress response, like data, literature, summary of the stress response. You do need to understand the stress response or fight or flight a little bit better than the average person, because it's what's creating this demotivation instead of allowing us to have dopamine and the chemicals of motivation. And then chapter 5 is really just the session prep for the very first session, because it's a lot of discussion. That's too much if I stick it inside the session, about understanding what happens when people feel overwhelmed and overly excited in the beginning, middle, or at the finish line of their goals. And then we move into the big sessions. I mentioned this one. This is like, I use this one all the time when I go do other groups. People say, can you come and do my group? This is what I do. I check in with people and they're all like, yeah, we're so happy. We have this big goal. We signed up for this guy's program. And then I say something that horrifies the person whose program it is. I say, I want you to say out loud, I'm overwhelmed. And they panic because they don't want people to be checking in on that, because then 1,000 people are going to go, I'm overwhelmed. And so overwhelm is one of those ways we go into the fight or flight. The other way I'll ask it, and it's built right into your session, is I want you to say this out loud. The truth is, I wish I was further ahead. And then everyone's like, oh, I wish I was further ahead. And you start to see that they're already in some form of depressing their motivation energy by being in the fight or flight. We just don't think of it that way. And so this is a perfect first session. Perfect. Everything is written to do with a group, by the way. Every session is written to do with a group. Because when I'm writing the manual, I don't know how your individual client is going to respond. And so there's ways of working in these sessions that are designed for groups. And of course, if it's a private client, you're going to customize. Session number 2 is the one I talked about. This is a core skills session around turning negative emotions, not just healing, but actually turning them into passion and motivation. So the person leaves this session feeling charged. Session number 3 is the first of those big resets. This is the one I think I said, 27 pages long. It's the, do I really deserve that much? And so when we have a goal, and this is what's interesting about goal setting, is that most people have never written it down, because when they write it down, they feel, oh, do I really deserve that? Or that feels impossible, so I really don't want that goal. And so if we feel guilty or embarrassed about wanting our goals, going for our goals, we won't do it. We'll only get so far and we will self-sabotage. Right? So super important. The second of the big resets, the mindset reset. This is because when we have someone set goals and then we challenge them, we use this little trick in this session to say, now we're going to make your goal a little bit more outrageous. And then we really see the resistance. We see the mindset shift into, that's impossible. It's never going to happen. And if I feel like my goals at any level are impossible, my heart's never going to be in it. And so this is one of the big ways that we actually work on and understand mindset, but it's a full body mindset. It's like, it feels impossible. And that means I'm probably going to fail and I'm going to do all this work. And what if I do all this work and you start to feel what's going on underneath? Number 5 is that confidence reset, because at some point, we can't just do healing with people. We actually need them to show up in public in a way that they believe in themselves, that they're able to say, no, this is what I want to do, and this is the way I'm doing it, and this is who I am now, and this is what I want, and this is what I'm going for, and this is what I deserve. Because if we can't get them to show up in the real world differently, they're never going to take the actual steps. They will continue, and this is what made me crazy. They'd come back to my sessions and we're doing a ton of work together, and they were still playing small. They were still avoiding the spotlight. They were still not setting boundaries. They were still letting their family overwhelm them if they were trying to lose weight and stay on their habits. And so this one was a key for me, but it's tricky to work on if you don't know how to do the assessment, because it's something that they're not doing. And then number 6 is that laser focused session. Laser focused, like, I'm procrastinating on this important step, and I'm going to get you into action on that important step. And again, you'll see every one of these where it says key to the sessions, it always ends with, like this one says, charge them up. They are going to feel charged up, because even when people are in action and they're like, I feel more confident, I'm taking steps, I'm doing things, they still get stuck. They still need you. They will procrastinate on particular steps. Anyone here ever procrastinated on one particular step and that still got you stuck for a really long time? Yeah. And it's usually a key step to something big, something important, something revealing. And so those are our 6 sessions. There's also, as I mentioned, the Neuroscience of Motivation deep dive training. That's next Thursday, October 17th. Deep dive training number 2, October 21, the deeper dive into the motivation breakthrough map. And then the 2-day immersion, right? So you're going to download your manual either today or tomorrow as soon as it's ready. You're going to start reading those first 5 chapters. You're going to immerse yourself with your smart little brain. And then you're going to get ready for the 2-day immersion, October 23 and 24, because you're going to be there from 9 to 5 Eastern. You're going to learn a little bit with me, and then boom, you're in a Zoom room practicing. It's not going to be a perfect practice because we don't have hours. It's not a week, but you're going to practice the script with a person. And I'll show, I'm going to help you say, like, this is the amount we can practice today, or these is the pieces. You are going to jump in and you're going to practice. And then someone's going to practice on you. And so you also get a shift as well. And that gives you like 6+ hours of experiential session practice. The other thing that's going to happen that day is, as you will continue, you'll connect more because you'll all be in a Facebook group together. And so there's nothing that connects a community like tapping and working together through these kinds of sessions. And so you'll also connect with people because you'll have several more weeks in the Facebook group. I think the Facebook group's open for like 4 or 5 weeks, to keep practicing with each other, to really bring each other through these sessions. That is worth its weight in gold, and it will build your confidence. And of course, everything we do is recorded with transcripts. And I've shared with you the price is $19.97. I'll share it again. It's our special open enrollment price. But we do have one woman's only bonus. The Facebook group you are in goes right up to the event. And then we bring you right into the event. You have a ticket into Motivation Breakthrough Live, which is for us women only to do our brain body reset in our motivation, our energy, our confidence, all about building a business. And of course, there's some awesome extra bonuses in here. This is a tapping intensive, because guess what? As coaches, we often really get stuck around charging. And we are, as I say here in bullet 2, your resistance to offering packages and higher prices. Of course, that's a bonus I'm giving you. We also give you a month inside of our Confident Coach community that has 3 Mondays a month, clearing your blocks, tapping with me and my team, 3 Tuesdays a month, getting marketing and business experts, and getting Q&A with people like Bethany Long on my team, and Heather on the Miracy team. And again, you have to order by today for this final bonus. Okay, and so this final bonus is, I'm going to take all of the coaches, all the motivation coaches, and I'm going to break you into small little groups. And then you are going to be with one of my faculty coaches, and you're going to do 4 weeks of deep chakra work. Very different than what you're learning in this program, because you're already getting what you're learning in this program, right? I wanted to give you something completely different that is a deeper inner work flow. And so I've been working with my faculty coaches who do my deep chakra work, and they are going to break you up into small groups, and you'll have these private little group process 4 weeks in a row, chakra 1, chakra 2, chakra 3, chakra 4, to do the deeper work to get you ready to really be in your power for this exciting new venture. So the Motivation Coach Training Program, as I said, is $39.97. That is the list price. Plus, we have all of these amazing bonuses that add up to over $5,000. And of course, the base price is $39.97. But our special price is $19.97 to jump in and get this skill, put this to work. I was looking for a pathway to see that I could leave corporate and actually do this, be successful and get paid. And so this is what I would have wanted to take a step into coaching and seeing what it was like to be professional, to have people be wowed and impressed by you when you go to networking, instead of feeling weird, like people are looking at you like you have 3 heads, which is how they looked at me at first. And all you have to do is be all in. We're super excited to have you in the program. We're super excited to close our enrollment and say hello to all of our new coaches on Tuesday. The chakra bonus classes, we don't have those dates yet. We're going to have your meet and greet next Tuesday at 2 p.m. We're going to welcome you into the program, and then we will sort you because the 4 different coaches will have different times that work for them. So they'll be reaching out to you and getting that going with you in your small group. So we have more work to do once you step into the program. Also going to watch your email today, because we're going to invite you into the Facebook group today or tomorrow so that you can join the Motivation Coach Facebook group and have information there and access to the 4 faculty coaches there as well. Okay, and so any other questions I can answer for you? Any other questions I can answer for you today? Was there something else? And questions on the program? Okay, anything else I can answer for you? Except encourage you with all my heart to please take a step into Motivation Coach. We are waiting to receive you and get started with this program. Yeah, we are waiting to receive you and get started with this program, because I know you're going to absolutely love it. Can you go back to deep dive number 2 slide? Because I missed it. Sure, Anna, just for you. Just for you. Here we go. Okay. That's the bonus. Deep dive number 2, Anna, October 21, 2 to 3:30. And so that's going to be a deep dive into the motivation breakthrough map. So I'm going to really take my time and walk you through. You will have this version that's all filled out. But still, you know, even my version still has 8,000 notes written all over it, even though it's all filled out, so that you really understand it. Because the motivation breakthrough map is, you know, not only for you, but it's also the piece of how you will be explaining things to people, right? And so to me, it's like this deeper knowledge and understanding about what gets in the way of people taking action, what affects our motivation, and talking about that in a way that is novel, that is compelling, that is right now, that has the term biohacking in it, which people love right now. And it's true, it is biohacking. That is what we are doing. And when we are worried about failure, procrastinating, trying to be perfect, criticizing ourselves, we are biohacking ourselves, just in the wrong direction. We are biologically modifying ourselves in those moments into the fight or flight and out of our prefrontal cortex, our most brilliant, amazing, grounded, clear adult selves. And so, yes, biohacking is exactly what we need to be doing. So hopefully that helped. Awesome, Anna. So great to see you in there. Okay. Yes. So Dominique, you have a really nice juicy bonus for Motivation Super Skills. It's actually a fabulous coupon. And if you really think about what you invested in Motivation Super Skills and the coupon we're giving you, so definitely make sure you see that. And jump on with Beverly, email Beverly, and she can chat with you about what the difference is. I don't want to get into it now because it'll get everyone confused about what's there and what's not. So please do that. Beverly is happy to walk you through all of that. Um, awesome. So great, Lisa. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm already a successful coach and a nurse. Awesome. So you are adding to your toolbox. Awesome. Welcome, Dale. Welcome, Lisa. Welcome, Sylvia. Yay. Thank you for being all in. And know that your perfect clients are going to be just as excited when they sign up with you. They're going to be like, I'm all in. Yes. So Bethany just put that on the chat. It's support at margaretlynchraneri.com. So Bethany has it there for you. Because I know that's a lot to spell. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, this is our last training in this series. Super excited to have you in the Motivation Coach program and to do it all live with me in the future. It'll probably be a recorded program that you'll get to download. So it's a little bit different the first time because I will be teaching everything live. And so that's the exciting part for me as we roll this out, is I get to do everything live with y'all. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Hard to change jury duty. But remember that everything is recorded. And so we have had a couple people join who were like, I can't come to the immersion, but I don't want to miss out on the training. So remember, it's all recorded because that's where I'm doing some teaching. But the bulk of the immersion is the practice. And so if you are committed and you want to do this work and you don't want to miss out on this opportunity, you are in a Facebook group with your colleagues for another, it's either 4 or 5 weeks for the Facebook group. You will absolutely be able to practice and get your certification. When you're there live on the certification event, I can see you. I know you're practicing, right? And so it's easier for me to say, I know that you've practiced. I know that you've heard the information, and I know that you've experienced it. I can give you this certificate of completion. If you haven't come to the certification event, you're just going to stay more in touch with Beverly and more in touch with us around that you've done all the practice sessions, that you've received them. And yes, you will still be granted your certificate. We're just going to have to check on you a little bit more. So no worries. Yeah, no worries if you can't come to one or both days. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here and for your amazing attention. Again, I know that you can just help so many people, and I know that you want to help people, and that is what's different when we get together in a group like this. That's why I love getting together in these groups with people like you, because I know you don't show up with harm in your heart. You show up because you really care and you really want to help people. And I want to make you successful at doing that. Yeah, successful at doing that. So yeah, thank you, Inga. And I'm tired, honestly. I'm fired up right now, but it has been a week of giving a lot of information. I hope you're not on information and handout overload. I have handouts everywhere. But yes. So you definitely want to sign up by the end of today, right? So let's say, midnight or something. Sometimes it's West Coast time. I'm not quite sure. So I'm not sure what they do midnight on, but that's the deadline to sign up to make sure you get our super awesome journey with our coaches. And if you're worried about that, reach out to Beverly. Email Beverly and say, Beverly, I'm signing up. Put my name in for the bonus. Okay. So if you let us know, right, then she's going to make sure that you are on that list for that bonus. If you, for some reason, you just need one more day, just let us know so we can tag you for the bonus. Great. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. See you soon. See you on Tuesday at our welcome call.